Hey there, welcome back. This is The James Show. I'm your host, James Parker, on News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. Yes, I'm pretty excited about that too, studio audience. And yes, that is an amazing coincidence. We had a commenter over here on social media point out the very lucky coincidence, and how fortunate am I that this is The James Show and my name happens to be James. So that works out perfectly. We didn't have to rename the show just because I'm the host here. Thank you, Barney. This is a great comment. We have Bob Lovell in studio. He is the president of Home Marketing Services. And when he founded this company years ago, we jumped on board. When I say we, there are previous radio iterations that I've been a part of where Bob Lovell was involved. And I have 2 decades worth of people doing business with this guy, and 0 of them have come back to me and said, man, that Bob Lovell's full of it. What a terrible dude. Not one negative feedback. So, Bob Lovell, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to work with you again.
All right. I wanted to bring you on because this is a real estate, moving, home buying sort of topic here. And I like being on the top of lists. Being a Texan, we get to be on the top of a lot of cool lists. And one of them is, according to U-Haul, more movers moved to Texas in 2023 than any other state. As a guy who has sold more houses than most of us have ever even seen, why do you think that is, Bob?
You know, it's interesting. There are, in my opinion, a number of reasons. One, you do have more affordable housing in Texas, especially than places like California, New York, Chicago. And that's a big mover. For some of them, I think it's even more political freedom. And we've done a lot of homes for people from California, from New York, and one of the things they tell us is they really got tired of where their tax dollars were going and what it was supporting in some of those states, and so they love being Texans.
Yeah, transplants get a lot of smoke around here, but I've noticed, anecdotally speaking, the transplants I've talked to, if you have been so disgusted by the political situation in your previous home that you have uprooted your entire family at great expense and moved all the way to Texas, you're probably a little more partial to Texas politics than the place you left.
Well, you know, we kid them a bit. When they're from California, you know, we have a few questions we ask them. Did you pack your politics with you, or did you come with better ideas? And, you know, I mean, they're good people that actually they came here because they wanted a little bit better way of life. They wanted a little bit better pricing on their homes. But, you know, I find that they're not moving into the big cities as much as they're looking for more of a small town atmosphere. I mean, whether they're going to Prosper or Little Elm or Salina, more so than downtown Dallas, you know.
So how long is this going to last? We can't be number one in imports forever, but I don't see anyone else even vying for the title except for Florida.
Florida actually is a real contender. So is Arizona. There are more people right now moving to Florida and Arizona that are going from California to those places, which we're okay with, because when Californians first started coming here, they really drove prices up a bit. And I'll be honest, in my opinion, a lot of builders are greedy. And I tell my builders that, my preferred builders, you know, you guys got carried away in the pricing, because California people would sell their 800-900 square foot little 1-bedroom place for $700,000. Come here and see a 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom with a game room for the same amount. And remember when things were really tight during COVID, no properties available and so on. A property that was going for $350,000, they're offering $500,000 and outbidding everybody. So I'm kind of glad that's over with.
Well, when you look at how it's kind of gotten tough for people who only make intra-city moves, you know, because moving from Plano to Dallas or to Richardson or something, that's not nearly the same as moving in from out of state. So I got to think, as bad as things have gotten here with the price going up and the inventory being really contracted and, you know, rates are higher for a lot of people, I guess it's worse in other places.
Well, things offset each other. I mean, like, take California, okay? They actually have lower property taxes, but our good governor, Abbott did something for us there and reduced some property taxes. But the offset is no state income taxes is huge and better pricing on homes, more value. So you get to build family equity. So those trade-offs, I think, are huge. And I love when we get people from out of state and from the military, because our military program, I'm a vet, and I did my 2 years, 7 days, 6 hours, 20 minutes. Loved it. It was great back in 68, 71. So, we take care of our vets, and a lot of those folks will move in for virtually nothing. I mean, we charge them, I do a deal where on our vets, I can charge them $5 to move in. After they get the new keys, move in, they come by and bring me a caramel macchiato, sugar-free. That's their move-in. And we do that for our vets. We take care of our police officers, our nurses, and our teachers.
So that seems like a deal that doesn't sound possible. If someone calls in, they're like, how can someone move in for $5, Bob? That's not a real thing. What do you say to those people?
It's funny. On your show last week, we had several call-ins that were really fun to do. One of them we know was a realtor, and all she wanted to do was complain that, well, I just know that that's not true. There's no way you can get the interest rates in the fours. And my guy that took the call said, well, yes, ma'am, actually, we do. We do every day. And, she said, well, that's just impossible. I don't believe you. Well, come on in and we'll show you. And, she was obviously a realtor and not very happy because she just wanted us to tell her over the phone how we do that. And no.
Because you're going to steal all her business, Bob. We're talking with Bob Lovell from Home Marketing Services. We'll talk about getting rates in the fours coming up after the break here. But if you have any questions, real estate related, U-Haul related, 800-288-9227, 800-288-WBAP. I'm James Parker. That's Bob Lovell. We'll be right back with more of The James Show on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome back. This is The James Show. I'm your host, James Parker, on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Joining me is Bob Lovell from Home Marketing Services, and we were talking about why is Texas the number one state for movers in America, and it's not because we have better rates. I mean, the rates that you get here in Texas are pretty much the rates you're going to get anywhere else. I think what a lot of people are doing, though, is asking the question, when are the rates going to go down? Bob, I know you don't have a crystal ball, but you've been floating around in this space for a few decades. Do you have any idea on, like, maybe this could happen within the next year or so?
It's really interesting because a month ago, my answer would have been totally different, totally the opposite. Everybody in the industry, and I'm not in the mortgage business, I'm in the real estate business, but everybody in the industry that I talked to felt the same way. They're talking about doing 2 more price increases in the first quarter of this year, but all of a sudden it changed. They had 3 price drops, and it went from 8 to the 6s. And now they're even hinting about maybe a couple more drops. So perhaps because it's an election year, and we know politicians love to get reelected, bless their heart. But either way, right now, if you ask the people in the industry, we think the rates are going to go down again. But where they're in the 6s right now, maybe it'll go down to the 5s. I don't think we'll ever see the 3s again. That was a total anomaly.
Well, can I brag on what my mortgage rate is? Because this is what an old man I am. 20-year-old James would have never bragged about his interest rate. But let me tell you what. Roll up your window, so I don't want everyone to hear this outside your car. 2.95% is what my mortgage is, Bob. And that is like worth about $300, $400 a month just off my monthly payment. I don't think we'll ever get back to that. But super cynical, skeptical, old crotchety man, because I'm turning into an angry old man in front of your face just very slowly. I think it's all about the election. Of course they're going to cut interest rates. I've been saying this for over a year that they want everyone going into the ballot box on an economic sugar high. And whether it's real economic growth or just goosing the numbers because you slammed the rates right before the election, of course they're going to lower it. But that's cynical, skeptical James talking.
Well, that's also realistic James talking. I mean, Traditionally, in an election year, rates are going to go down. And this year, I would have thought, again, normally that's the case. But after I've seen what I've seen in our political environment, people were saying, no, they're not. They're actually going to go up. It changed a month ago. I'm guessing, again, the election this year probably helped change that, which is great, because if the rates right now in the sixes, in the last, let's say, 30 years, the average rate was 7%. And if you want to go back, let's go to 1789. How's that?
Okay.
1789, our president was George Washington. George Washington took the very first loan to pay the Continental Congress and himself from what was then called the Bank of New York. That loan that he took, by the way, was $200,000. The rate was 6%. And that was in 1789. So when we got down to that 3 2 3/4, and by the way, my rate's about the same because you do your homework and I live it every day. So yeah, you want to do it when you can.
So what about the people who heard you say 4% interest rates in the last segment and they rolled their eyes saying that's not possible?
Well, I have to qualify that and say that was a realtor that said that, and maybe they didn't have that program. We do, and it's because my preferred lenders and my preferred builders, we got together and I said, guys, you've been greedy. Here's what we're going to do. And Mr. Builder, you're going to contribute this much, and Mr. Lender, you're going to contribute this much, and I need to buy down the rates so my real people, my cops, my teachers, my nurses can get a real home. And so we get it in the 4s, and that's real.
So were you telling me you already got a referral from the James Show last week?
We actually had a couple of them, but the one that was my favorite was the lady called up. We asked her straight out, how we always ask, how'd you hear about us? And she said she was a referral. So naturally, who were you referred by? We were thinking another previous client. And she said, my dad. Well, where'd your dad hear about us? Well, he listens to WBAP all day long, every day. And he heard your commercial, and he called me up and said, you need to call them right now. She did. She's coming in this week to do her pre-qualification.
Thank you, Dad, and thank you all the dads out there, because for the entirety of my radio career, over 20 years now, it's been in talk radio. And so I've met people that are my peers or my age group, especially when I was younger. You'd meet a young lady at the bar or whatever. Oh, you're on the radio? What station? Oh, I don't know that. What's the show? Oh, I don't know that. And I would tell them, don't worry, your dad probably loves me.
Well, I can't say this for sure, James, but now, whether she's living at home and Dad wants to get rid of her, I don't know. Or whether she's in her own apartment, I'll find out when she comes in. But for those folks out there that have 30-year-olds still living with them, give them our number.
Let's get him out of there. Bob will eject the kid from the basement, metaphorical basement. We don't have basements
Absolutely.
around here. But one thing, I have this couple, probably two of my best friends. They're married. They've been renting, and they're in their late 30s. And I've been trying to tell them, you need to buy a house so you can build equity, so you can build wealth, so you have equity to tap into. So if you do have to move, you can take thousands of dollars with you. And they're like, well, the rates are kind of high. You don't marry the rate. You get a house. You're going to stay in that for as long as you want. But that rate, you're going to swap that sucker out the first chance they go down.
Well, even if someone decided to come in today and they want to get a brand new home in the 4s, right? If the rates go down, God forbid, I would love to see it, but I don't think it's going to happen. If it does go down, you refinance, and it's not a big problem. And if it's done in a fairly short amount of time, you're not going to have to pay all those extra fees to do it. So you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. You need to find out where you stand.
All right, we're going to revisit this conversation a few times this year, because I am staying hard and fast on my prediction that they are going to cut those rates for the economic sugar high effect. This is all election related. This is all skeptical, cynical James. And if you got any comments for Bob or real estate related, 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. That's Bob Lovell. I'm James Parker. This is The James Show on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. All right, this is the part where we do our little commercial part here, Bob. Let's tell them about what you do for a living and why you know so much about all these real estate topics. Home marketing services, what do y'all do?
Well, we can say that we get people out of the rent race. We help people stop making the landlord richer. We do that every day, and we've been doing it now for right about 30 years. But we also help people that have a home that they want to sell, but their moving sucks. I mean, it really does. So they want to sell their home, but they want to move only once. So when we get their new home set up, we arrange the closing of their home they're selling to coincide and maybe buy them 2 or 3 weeks to relax before they have to move out. But move once. That makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and you are under the belief that we just talked about, marry the house, date the rate.
That almost sounded bad, but yes, I agree with you 100%, James.
Yeah, so for you people who are spooked about high percentage rates or high mortgage rates, so much of my payment's going to be going to interest and I'm not going to get any of it back. If you're renting, you get none of that payment back. Your return is zero. So it's time to get out of the rent race. It's time to call Bob, Home Marketing Services, blessyourheart.com. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Hey there, how you doing? This is The James Show. I'm your host, James Parker, on News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on your FM dial at 93.3. Make us one of your presets. And I'm going to be a little greedy here. I want to be the number one button. Can I be the number one button? I don't want to be your side station. I want to be your main station. So don't put me over on the 2s or the 3s. I want to be the number one. I want to be your main chick, not your side chick. Y'all still with me here? We still talking about radio? So you just heard in the news update there that Dak Prescott and Dallas Cowboys whipped Washington, the Redskins. I'm still going to call them the Redskins because I'm a child. They whipped the Redskins last night, 38-10, which means that they are now the champions of the NFC East. They're the number 2 seed. And while we don't get a first-round bye, we do get the luxury of a home field advantage for the next 2 rounds of the playoffs, at least. And we could have a home game for the NFC Championship game if we make it that far and we're not playing San Francisco. If we're playing any of the other teams, we have a real shot there at making it to the Super Bowl. And this is about the best path that you could ask for, aside from the first round bye, of course. But come on now. You would have been excited. We would have been high-fiving, you and I, right across the table, if we'd have been told in August before this whole thing kicked off that the Dallas Cowboys were going to finish the regular season with the 2 seed. Now, we've been excited before. I believe if you go back to Dak Prescott's first season, that amazing run where him and Zeke just came in and took over, and we were the number 1 seed, but that didn't work out so well now, did it? And I'm super excited about that because on top of the Cowboys winning, isn't there just something delicious? Isn't there just something just tasty? It's like the icing on your birthday cake. When you're looking up in the top left-hand corner of the screen during the Cowboys game and you see that the Giants are just kicking a snot bubble out of the Eagles. Why does that make me so happy? Does that make me a bad person? And I didn't get to watch the game because it was on the same time as the Cowboys, but you kept watching the score go up. Oh, look, the Giants are up 10-0. Oh, look, the Giants are up 17-0. Oh, my God, the Giants are up 24-0. And we're cheering just as hard for the Giants as we are for the Cowboys because the Cowboys are starting to lock it up at that time. Here's what I missed and what you might have missed, too. I went back and looked at what the heck happened in that game. How did the Eagles start something like 10-1, and they've just laid an egg in like 5 of their last 6 games? I mean, they are like dairy hens over here laying eggs. I saw a still photo that it caused me pain to see it. You know how photos can't really hurt you, but when you look at them and the common humanity, apparently Jalen Hurts hurt his middle finger, the one that you use to signal that you're not very happy with someone's driving, the middle digit. It was bent in a way that human fingers are not supposed to be bent. It was bent in a way that looked like Stretch Armstrong was bent around, or one of these little putty guys these figurines that you can mold into weird shapes. His finger was just sticking out backwards. Now, I've had my finger bent backwards like that before, so I know exactly what it feels like. And it's almost like that feeling came right back. Like, ooh, I've had my finger bend backwards and to the side in a way where it's not anatomically allowed to do without severe pain. So maybe that's why I saw that picture and felt pain. But I don't think I was the only one. So that's delicious. I also saw that one of their big bad receivers, Mr. Brown, may have boo-booed his knee a little bit. And so I haven't really dug too much in it. You know, this isn't the ticket that's down the hall. Those guys down there, they kind of rule and don't want to step into their territory. But how bad is it? This sounds horrible. I really think how good is it? How great do we have it that not only are we in the playoffs as a 2 seed and we supplanted the Eagles as the winners in the NFC East, but also they're going to go in with a boo-booed up quarterback and a boo-booed up number 1 receiver, and that it shouldn't make it better, but it does, and that's because I'm a child, and I apologize. But yeah, I'm super happy about the Cowboys. For those of you who aren't really that interested in sports, just know that all the stupid football fans around you like myself are going to be in a very good mood for at least the next week, and there's a really good chance that we're going to win next week against silly old Green Bay Packers and be in an even better mood. So that'll explain that, non-sports ball people. Another small little piece of news that I got to sneak in under the radar because you're not going to hear it in most other news outlets is in the Tahoe Daily Tribune. I saw that they're having to close their ski lifts due to heavy snow. You know what? You've noticed 1,000 times. I've noticed 1,000 times, but it still is a sticker in my shoe to hear every time that there's a heat wave or there's hot weather or someone dies from a heat stroke. Super important news that we all have to hear about all day constantly. And this is just proof positive that climate change is going to kill us all. And you've got to give up your big cars and you've got to start taking a bicycle to school and you've got to start eating bugs and you can't eat as much red meat and you can't use whatever light bulb you want to use. And you got to get an electric car, even though it has all its problems and expenses. And then they just gloss over these. Oh, that's so interesting. So let me get this straight. Only really hot weather is news, but really cold weather, not news. Yes, that's the rule they go by. It's just not as interesting to them. But how much snow does there have to be for ski resorts to close due to heavy snow? Like the whole enterprise is built around heavy snow. And it's not even really that deep into the ski season. It's just barely January. Just throwing that out there. Just convenient how that doesn't get nearly as much attention in the media as the hot stuff. You're not surprised, but listen, if you want to know from the journalistic integrity standpoint, there's one statistic I want to leave you with. Globally, every year, you know how many deaths are caused by heat exhaustion. You know, global warming is something we're supposed to be concerned about. About 300,000. Not piddly. That's a lot. But compared to cold, how many people you think globally die of cold, exposure to cold? It's 300,000 for heat. For cold, 1.7 million. So it's more than 5 times as many, almost 6 times as many. But which one am I supposed to be concerned about? Yeah, right. 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. This is The James Show. Coming up next, we're going to talk to a doctor about the widespread flu terrorizing Tarrant County right now. That's next on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome back to The James Show. I am your host, James Parker, on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Make it one of your presets. Last year, Tarrant County had one of the worst influenza years in memory, where about 25% of their ER visits were from flu-like symptoms. This year, not as bad, but still of concern because already that number's up to 17% of ER visits in Tarrant County are being related to the flu. And so we're going to bring in someone who knows a little bit more about this than I do. It's a doctor, Shahan Chowdhury, from the CEO of Tailored Health in Frisco. Let's talk about the influenza epidemic. The headlines are making it seem like this is worse than usual or terrible. Is this an above average activity for flu season?
Thank you for having me. No, but it sure gets your attention, doesn't it? No, this is winter, and so this is the time that we see a lot of flu and other kind of viruses. And I think many of you know now we're dealing with three major viruses out there: the flu, the COVID, and RSV. But no, honestly, this is just it's that time of year, and we like to share germs when it's holiday season and stuff like that. When school is out, everybody's gathering, and it's cold outside. So we kind of have that transmission like we do every winter, and so it really is just another winter. But it's no fun to have these infections with fever and whole body aches and just not being able to do your usual stuff. It's no fun.
Well, is it dangerous for the extremes? Is it dangerous for really young kids and really old people? Because that's what I hear. But then when I go and look up the statistics, there's only a handful of children who die from it every year. I believe only one has died in Texas thus far. Where's all this worry coming from?
Well, that's one too many children to die from something that we should be able to minimize. But yes, you're right. The extremes of ages, very, very young, very, very old and frail, but also don't forget all those people that are under certain medications or just can't fight the viruses very well because their immune system is down for whatever reason. But no, the other thing is there's a lot of kids that get hospitalized. They may not die, but they get hospitalized. And that's no fun for the kids, the parents, the families. And it just makes for a busy season. But, it's not as bad as other seasons, but we're still very early on in the season.
Yeah, I hear you. You don't want to downplay it too much because I was in the situation a few weeks ago where my kid showed some flu-like symptoms, and actually it was a little worse than a regular flu. So we took him in. He had some sort of weird blood infection, and he had to spend 12 days in Children's Hospital down here off Stemmons. And look, he's going to be okay. He's been out for a little over a week now. But that was something that we thought started out as the flu, and I think that a lot of other parents think the same thing. Well, what if it's something more?
Well, in that case, we all know our kids better than anyone. You know when this is something that's not going away. It's been over a week. Their fever is high. You can't seem to bring it down with, the usual Tylenol, ibuprofen, and they can't seem to keep up the fluids, whatever it is. That's when you know he or she needs some help. We need to get seen. So there are things that you can pick up on that, no, this isn't a kid just, milking it for whatever to stay at home and have a flu. No, this is something more. And I'm sure your child is going to do just fine.
Yes, he's expected to make a full recovery. He's still dragging a little bit, but a lot of that's just from laying down for 12 days. It's weird the side effects that can happen from that. But Dr. Chowdhury, what about someone who's in my position? I'm a otherwise totally healthy dude. I'm not really old. I'm not really young. If I get the flu, do I need to go seek the help of a doctor or an emergency room, or should I just get on the couch and tough it out? I'll probably be fine.
I think on the whole, if you're pretty fit and healthy, and you take a dose of ibuprofen or something, your fever comes down. You're still tired, you're still aching, but not terrible. But you know that things are okay. You can eat, you can drink, you can pee, you can poop, all those things. You should be able to kick it in a few days. And don't forget, things, we want everything to be over like yesterday. But sometimes maybe it's your body saying you've been working really, really hard, or you've been under a lot of stress. Take these extra days to just rest and let your body recuperate. But again, just like the children, if you can't bring the temperature down, if you feel like this is above and beyond what is normally what you would experience, it's just really, really tough. I would still go and check it out.
Right. And for us, it just came down to parental instincts. Me and my wife looked at each other and we're like, this is different. We don't know what we're talking about. We didn't go to medical school. But I think as a parent, just trust yourself. And whenever you get that weird little spidey sense, believe in your gut. But here's something else that cracks me up, doctor, is do we have any medicine for the flu? You mentioned like ibuprofen or something. Like if I have pain, there's pain medicine. If I'm having a problem with my diabetes, they got insulin. But for the flu, just go tough it out.
There are, especially I think most people, it might, taking medication like generic Tamiflu and things like that can reduce the duration by about a day or two. So that might make a difference, but it also makes a difference if you're in a household where there's a lot of sick people or things like that. So yes, there is medicine. Again, it's viral, and if you're pretty healthy, you should be able to kick it on its own. But know who's around you, know who is in danger of catching it too, in which case there are preventative dosing as well as treatment dosing.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Dr. Shahan Chowdhury. She's from Tailored Health in Frisco. So if you're in that northern Dallas area and you're looking for some help, you just heard from her, Shahan Chowdhury, Tailored Health in Frisco. Thank you very much for being on the James Show. And if you have any comments, questions, 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. This is the James Show on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on 93.3 FM.